Pocket forever.
Sagicor Bank, supporting businesses with guidance and services to create the recipe for success. The time by Sagicor Bank is 7.
CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Coming up in CVM News at 7, disgusting and trifling. Cuthbert Flynn fires back at alleged IC investigation. Leaked, shared, condemned. JLP denounces alleged PNP voice notes. Voice or vision? Court examines identification evidence in Ninja Man appeal. Inquiry this, flying debris, costly damage. Akeem Art explores the legal consequences of roadside maintenance damage. And in sports, Jamaica announces itself on Commonwealth Games stage in Glasgow, Scotland.
CVM News at 7 Headlines Thursday, brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy.
Should critical illness strike, don't let worry fill your head. Say hello to happiness and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan. Secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness ahead of time while benefiting from our investment portfolio and so much more. Give yourself and your family the peace of mind you deserve with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan today. And live secure, live easy.
Before the first patty is baked, they are hands that grow what we need. For Jamaica, by Jamaicans. Through every season and challenge, they built with us. They believed. To every farmer, thank you.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7 for Thursday, July 19, or that should be... I'm Nika Lewis. Thank you so much for joining us. With more political officials under the microscope of the Integrity Commission, the opposition People's National Party has called for State Minister in the Ministry of National Security and Peace, Cuthbert Flynn, to explicitly state whether she is currently under investigation. Natasha Williams has her response in this CVM News follow-up.
A defiant state minister in the Ministry of National Security, Cuthbert Flynn, denied allegations of being investigated by the Integrity Commission. She was responding to a press release from the People's National Party, PNP, demanding answers from her regarding a deleted social media post.
On the record, I'm commenting, I have never, in my 10 years as a member of parliament or state minister, ever received any letter from the Integrity Commission about any investigation. And that is how that should be done, right? So I'm not sure where the PNP got that from. But the PNP, they're mischievous, they mislead, and they lie. They outright lie. And they make up stuff. They should be ashamed of themselves right now as to what is going on with that leaked tape, trying to, mislead the public and also trying to malign people's names.
However, Cuthbert Flynn says the post, which might have been removed by one of her social media handlers, did not mention anything about her being investigated.
My post mentioned nothing about me being investigated. There's a lawyer by the name of Kenyatta who posted that and insinuated that. So maybe you need to go and also speak with him. And he's a lawyer, so he doesn't want a lawsuit, right? He doesn't want a lawsuit. And so I never mentioned any such thing. Nothing like that was written in my post. Kenyatta Powell is the one who instigated all of this and kept repeating it on social media because this is exactly what he wanted. Exactly what's happening now is what he wanted. And that's it. The PMP, they're trifling. They're disgusting and they're trifling. They're a trifling set.
The state minister has one direct message for the Integrity Commission.
I would implore the Integrity Commission to come out and make a statement. Listen to me. They cannot keep doing this to people's names. And these people out there who are aligned with the PMP, like Kenyatta Powell, this is what they do. And I'm not going to allow anybody to take my name and drag it through any mud in this country.
Natasha Williams, CVM News.
In the meantime, lawmakers are again being urged to amend the gag clause in the Integrity Commission Act. The call is being made by Executive Director of the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, JAMP, Jeanette Calder. Here's Natasha Williams again with this CVM News follow-up.
The so-called gag clause, which legally restricts the Integrity Commission's ability to disclose information about ongoing corruption investigations, is again being talked about after the opposition demanded the West Rural St. Andrew MP, Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, to say whether she's under investigation by the Integrity Commission for illicit enrichment. During an interview on CVM's Lead Story, Executive Director for Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, JAMP, Jeanette Calder, says while the gag clause was implemented to publicly protect the reputation of those facing investigations, the provision needs to be revised.
So JAM's current position is this. Certainly for the vetting of those who are going to be entrusted with executive power, and certainly for those who serve in the shadow cabinet because they're anticipating having executive power, we believe the Integrity Commission ought to advise the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition who on their teams are, so they can make the kinds of decisions that will protect us, rather than run the risk of someone who is under investigation actually turning up guilty and having put them in a place where we have to trust them with our resources.
This was spawned by a social media post from Cuthbert Flynn alleging that a few months ago, Integrity Commission officials showed up unannounced to her home but was refused access by security personnel. Though the post was later deleted, the minister maintains it doesn't mean she's being investigated by the country's primary anti-corruption body. However, this alleged surprise visit from the IC has also sparked debate on the appropriateness of anti-corruption commission showing up unannounced to the homes of public officials.
If I must err, I would prefer to err in saying those courtesies don't have to be extended in terms of turning up at your office or at your home if we are already in the throes of an investigation. And I would prefer to stand by that, Tyrone, until I knew more about why they actually went.
Cuthbert Flynn made it plain she takes a dim view of the Integrity Commission showing up unannounced to her home.
I don't know of me being investigated. I have never received, and if somebody is being investigated, they would have to get a letter from the Integrity Commission.
Natasha Williams, CVM News.
The Court of Appeals review of the lower court's life sentencing of Desmond Ballantyne, his son Janelle Ballantyne and Dennis Clayton continued today in downtown Kingston. Questions of voice recognition and identification were assessed. Crystal Williams was in court.
After an 8-year delay, Desmond Ninjaman Ballantyne, his son Janelle Ballantyne, and Dennis Clayton were sentenced to life imprisonment for the 2009 shooting of Ricardo Brown. But how does the identification of just a voice come into play for this ruling? The trial continues. The prosecution recalled the witnesses' testimony, saying they were very familiar with the Ballantyne men, from spring break vacations together to discussing events to visits to their home from the Ballantyne father and son multiple times per week over a 3 to 5 year period. According to Senior Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, Kathy Ann Pike, evidence was presented that on the night of the altercation in question, all the alleged assailants arrived at the scene at the same time. Attorney Pike quotes the first witness, saying that he saw Clayton and two men first with a bat and stones in their hand, after which he saw the Ballantynes. According to the testimony, the first thing the now deceased Ricardo Brown said to the witness after they heard gunfire was, quote, "Me get shot," end quote. The prosecution quoted, "It's not a coincidence that men walked in with metal bats. He was a part of the plan with Ninja Man to attack the yard. The witness said he heard threats to kill," end quote. She also says the retrieval or use of a gun for the purpose of effecting threats was also contemplated, adding that phrases such as, quote, "Me a go use my gun" and "me a go shoot," end quote, were very prevalent in the next witness's testimony. The next witness says she was inside doing her hair in the yard in which the altercation took place when she heard gunshots at the side of the yard going to the back. On the night of the altercation, she says she heard a voice that evinced an intention to kill. The witness identified this voice as Janiel Ballantyne. She quotes, "Him say, 'Hey Ricky,' which is the now deceased, 'you and the previous witness for dead.'" After she heard shots, the witness says she heard the previous witness crying at the back and saw him holding up Brown. She allegedly found Brown wounded. The witnesses allegedly said it was at this time they found Dennis Clayton looking at them from behind the fence. It was also pointed out that this does not mean that Clayton was the one who fired the shots, as the ballistic evidence also did not identify who held the firearm at the time, adding that no substitution of proof is permitted. Crystal Williams reporting for CVM News.
Meanwhile, months after Hurricane Melissa devastated sections of Western Jamaica, the opposition is renewing its criticism of the government's recovery efforts. We'll take that story now.
Months after Hurricane Melissa devastated sections of Western Jamaica, opposition leader and the PNP president, Mark Golding, says too many residents are still waiting for promised assistance. Speaking at a PNP town hall meeting in Black River, Golding said the government's recovery response has been too slow, leaving homeowners, small businesses and communities struggling to rebuild.
We are now 9 months or thereabouts past the hurricane date. And I must say that I am very, very disappointed in the government's response to the plight of the people who are affected by the hurricane. We have the promises for housing support, apart from the roof program, which wasn't even 0.5% of GDP, and which was very inadequate because even those who lost their entire homes were only given 500,000 Jamaican dollars as a contribution. People were expected to travel far to try and collect on this. And
Golding argued that the limited support provided to businesses has also contributed to the country's economic challenges.
The NARA legislation has been passed. We had major problems with it. The lack of a board to ensure that this agency that is going to be responsible for the spending of billions of US dollars with one CEO reporting to a minister who happens to be the PM. That's not an appropriate structure for a statutory body.
The opposition leader also raised concerns about plans to redevelop Black River, saying any rebuilding effort must be guided by the people who live and work in the community.
We have heard announcements to do with Black River and parity and the building of a new town and so on. You can't be just making decisions in Jamaica House or wherever it is and saying to everybody, this is what it's going to be. There needs to be a structured form of consultation with the people to ensure that the people's lives are improved by whatever plan is being executed.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
You're watching CVM News at 7. More after these.
Before the first patty is baked, they are hands that grow what we need. For Jamaica, by Jamaicans. Through every season and challenge, they built with us. They believed. To every farmer, thank you.
Turn up to 25. Turn up to 25. Could I drive out fresh in a MG ride with a staycation all inclusive flex? Yeah. Hard to tell me the cash. Yes. Smart TV, PS5. I know I'm upgrade.
Turn up your winnings this summer with Digicel. Sign up or switch to postpaid or Digicel Plus. Buy a SIM. Top up with 5 bills or more. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. A smartphone deal or just pay your bill. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion period June 24 to September 5, 2026. Visit DigicelJamaica.com for terms and conditions.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Thanks so much for staying with us. As child rights advocates call for stronger protection measures following the gruesome sexual assault and murder of 10-year-old Shania Coke, a psychologist is highlighting warning signs linked to sex offenders. Carla Ramdeen has more.
Lobby group Hear the Children's Cry is condemning the sexual assault and murder of 10-year-old Shania Coke. Spokesperson for the child rights group Priscilla Dehaney says the act of mob violence that followed the killing of the tender-aged girl must be approached with caution. Speaking on CVM's lead story Wednesday, she noted that while residents might be of the view they had no other option, the person attacked and killed did not face the court and was not found guilty of the crime.
Based on what we are also hearing and seeing in the media is that they would have made several appeals to the police station in Warsaw and nothing happened. So I'm a little bit concerned, yes, about what they did, but I'm also thinking that there might have been no other alternative in their mind. But at the same time, we have to balance no, there's no evidence based on what we are hearing that this particular Delroy Coke suspect is actually the person who is guilty, and he really did not get a chance to be tried or to have his voice heard.
Ms. Dehaney says more must be done to protect children, noting that there are not enough public education campaigns focused on child safety and prevention.
What roles are the parents are to play? The church, for me, is very important, very significant. And I've also said that during this time, the summer period, unfortunately, we have to be more vigilant. We have to get our children involved in some of these programs. The church need to, and the community need to have programs in place to get our children involved. And unfortunately, if that doesn't happen, they are likely to be more exposed to danger, to crime, to what that the community or in the home.
In the meantime, counseling psychologist Dr. Patrice Charles King weighed in on the conversation, explaining there are factors that drive people to commit these heinous acts.
Some form of mental health disability, some malignancy in their personality, some form of obsessive compulsive disorder. You know, some individuals hear voices telling them to do it, so you have a chemical imbalance like schizophrenia. And I don't want it to be assumed that just because someone has a mental health disorder, that this is something that will happen, because that's absolutely not true. You know, some individuals do have some form of sexual issues, and they demonstrate it in this way.
Dr. Charles King says individuals with a propensity to engage in sexual acts against children often display signs of inappropriate sexual behavior, which should be treated seriously.
Inappropriate behavior, inappropriate contact, touching, grooming, inappropriate conversations, stalking. Those are some serious red flags. You need to look out for, a child coming into a shop and an adult going up to a child and having a certain type of conversation, making certain comments when that child leaves about their physical appearance. It's inappropriate and it's a red flag.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
In other news now, overcrowding concerns are mounting at the Bellevue Hospital, along with fears the country's primary mental health facility has reached capacity and needs to undergo urgent expansion to meet growing demand. Meanwhile, there's also calls for additional training for police personnel to equip them to better respond to mental health emergencies. We hear more from Jaden Henry.
Our concerns with overcrowding at Bellevue in East Kingston. Councillor Jesse James Clark warns the facility is at capacity.
Bellevue is just overcrowded. Has reached its capacity now, and I think it needs to be expanded, and more funds need to be given to them. The mental health unit too, as well, at the Windward Road Health Centre needs expansion, needs more funding, needs more vehicles and staff, trained staff that can be out there in the day. So what you want is to actually have a mobile unit that is going while you have your regular 9 to 5 staff members working in the days.
Councillor Clark also says the training of police personnel needs to be expanded to better prepare members of the constabulary force to handle mental health crises, as response teams often fail to intervene unless the individual becomes violent.
We extend the training time for our police officers to ensure that not just some of them, but all of them have extensive training in dealing with mentally ill persons.
The councillor also posited there appears to be an increase in the number of people with mental health challenges, while highlighting what he describes as prevailing resource constraints.
Yes, there's an uptick in persons with mental health issues, and many persons in Jamaica and within the municipality, I'm sure they have experienced persons, whether it's persons entering the garbage bins and scattering the garbage all over the road, or persons taking up residence. I have a case now that I've been dealing with. There has been a long-standing case running for years now on Cleveland Avenue with somebody who just come and take up residence there, who is mentally ill, and it's difficult to get the team to come out to respond to collect that particular person.
According to him, timely mental health assessments are needed, especially for the most vulnerable.
Because you have to also think that persons with mental health conditions being in certain space put them in confrontation with law enforcement, and also persons who would want to harm them too as well. So we'd want them to offer the services that are being offered to be offered in a more efficient manner.
Jaden Henry, CVM News.
There has been widespread public discussion since voice notes allegedly involving members of the People's National Party have been released. The recordings have drawn reaction from across the political landscape, and we'll hear now from Akela Bailey.
The People's National Party, PNP, is facing increased public scrutiny following the reported leak of voice notes allegedly involving party members. While the PNP has not issued an official response, the recordings have sparked reactions from several commentators. Political commentator Kevin O'Brien Chang was among those weighing in, arguing that the situation exposes what he described as the PNP's alleged hypocrisy. Speaking on CVM News Lead Story on Wednesday, O'Brien Chang called for civil society to take a more active role in holding those in positions of power accountable.
What you would expect the civil society to say, if this is true, if these names are true, we condemn this, this should not how it be, it should be country first. And clearly, the PNP feels now is a good thing. It kind of exposes the hypocrisy of what they've been saying in public. In private, they're saying, why this I think look tough. It will benefit the country. We can't do much about it. And in public, they've been saying that it's going to destroy Jamaica.
Mr. Chang also raised concerns about the current approach to parish council governance, suggesting that some of the measures being pursued could prove more harmful than beneficial.
We understand why they bypass the parish council, because the parish council will be trying to sabotage it. That's a clear, open admission that the parish councils are maybe more bad than good. And that's my take-up, where the parish councils are rarely criticized by either party. They're widely seen as feeding trees to both parties. Nobody says anything about them. And if we had a neutral commentators or neutral bodies who are supposed to look for the good of the country, they would be saying this is a sign we need parish council reform.
The political commentator also commended the NARA CEO, Ambassador Anthony Anderson, saying he believes there are no weaknesses in his armor that the PNP could find.
It's not the worst thing we could have heard. It's kind of expected. And my takeaway is, boy, General Anderson really has a great reputation, even among the PNP. And it's great that we have a man in charge of this huge NARA thing, which all of Jamaica can have confidence in. That is my takeaway.
Akela Bailey, CVM News.
And the Jamaica Labour Party has condemned the leaked voice notes allegedly sent by members of the People's National Party, PNP, describing them as, quote, shameful and vile. More in this report.
What is particularly shameful is that the audio reveals that despite the unprecedented natural disaster which devastated hundreds of thousands of Jamaicans, and despite the PNP publicly lamenting that the recovery effort should be faster, the same PNP at the highest level, at the level of their executive, has been caught discussing delay tactics. And to make matters worse, a member of their executive confessed they would consider implementing delay tactics. As one of the first parliamentarians on the ground, immediately after Melissa, I saw firsthand what was happening. It broke my heart. Having seen that, I cannot comprehend why anyone would seek to delay restoration for political reasons.
This response to alleged leaked messages from a PNP WhatsApp group. The recordings circulated on social media appear to suggest the PNP was prepared to use delay tactics against the newly formed National Resilience and Reconstruction Authority and to spread baseless allegations about its leadership. One clip references Major General Anthony Anderson's appointment to head NARA, with a PNP member heard discussing ways to undermine public confidence.
Bear in mind that the NARA bill is what the JLP sees as its glory and its savior for a fourth term and a fifth term and whatever. Speaking to some of them recently, some of the operatives, they see NARA as their way out to get back in tune with the Jamaican public, because they know them in a bad state, the public itself, with the cost of living and everything. So they see NARA as a saving grace, and they are going to do everything in their power to try to get whatever done, which means bypassing like our parish council, which, you know, probably would do delay tactics and don't get it, which is why they did it that way. But safety standards and these things is a concern. So, well, let's play our ball game of politics.
Minister Vaz says the remarks show disregard for Jamaicans recovering from Hurricane Melissa, accusing the opposition of playing politics with people's livelihoods.
This despicable behavior by the PNP is most disgraceful, but not surprising, because we have seen these tactics implemented by the PNP before. Not long ago, they tried it with the rural school bus system. The PNP executive members' commitment to continue playing ball game of politics concerning NARA is downright scandalous. This is particularly troubling, especially for me, coming on the heels of the apology by the General Secretary of the PNP, and to realize that that apology obviously was not genuine, because they continue to plot to undermine and to bring people's reputation into disrepute.
The PNP has not issued a formal response to the claims. Angela Melville, CVM News.
CVM News at 7 continues after this break.
taste of a KFC big deal. The time by KFC is
7:30.
You take charge of praise and worship. We'll take care of your coverage. You take care of the farming, livestock, and fishing. We'll take care of your life insurance. You take care of business. We'll take care of the health insurance. Everyone deserves access to quality insurance. So, Sagicor Life has developed a suite of affordable insurance products offering life, critical illness, and health insurance coverage to specific groups at affordable rates for themselves and their families. Coverage for all. Care for you.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Welcome back. A drive along Jamaica's roadways can become an adventure by itself. So imagine damaging your vehicle not from another vehicle but from debris from a weed whacker during roadside maintenance. Well, in tonight's Query This, Akeem Arendt examines liability questions surrounding roadside work and legal options, if any, available to motorists should you find yourself in such a situation.
A routine drive along a public road can go south in an instant. One moment you're heading home, the next, a stone propelled by a weed whacker strikes your vehicle, leaving a shattered mirror, cracked windscreen, or dented body panel. It's a situation many of you have encountered or fear encountering. But exactly who is responsible for the damage? Attorney at law Josemar Belnavis breaks down the legal options available to road users caught in the path of flying debris.
You're speaking about the person who employed the weed whacker individual. You're speaking of the owner of the property itself, who may have authorized that individual to carry out work on the property, the entity to which that individual is employed to, and overall the individual themselves if they were overly irresponsible.
While you may immediately blame the individual operating the weed whacker, the law of negligence often requires a deeper examination. The question is not simply who held the machine, but who had responsibility for the work, what safety precautions were in place, and whether reasonable steps were taken to protect road users from foreseeable harm.
Different entities have different laws that may apply to them. For example, depending on what the type of negligence or action is, there may be a greater responsibility for one as opposed to the other in those circumstances. But overall, liability would exist if the person is employed to an entity or a private contractor.
Roadside maintenance is frequently carried out by a mix of government agencies, municipal corporations, and private contractors. But according to Attorney Belnavis, the duty to ensure public safety does not disappear because the work is outsourced.
The key question there is to ask yourself the but-for question. But for this particular incident happening, would I have been put to this expense? So if it is that my car is damaged based on debris, then and I need to get a record, can recover for that expense. You're looking at also loss of use for repair, assessor's reports, damage estimates, etc.
If the agency or contractor denies responsibility or refuses to pay for the damage, there are legal options available to you.
First of all, contact an attorney. The attorney would perhaps write to that entity, and if nothing flows from that, then they would file a claim in the particular court that it is entitled to do. To motorists, I would say be vigilant. Observe the road on which you are traversing to see if there's work being done. Slow down. If work is being done in a particular area, it may be good to ensure windows are wound up, that you are traveling at a reasonable pace to ensure that you can make a sudden stop if you need to, and overall care for your own safety, which is a critical aspect. For the entity, it is important that people are made aware that these roadworks are being done, whether it be erection of signs, putting up cones, perhaps barriers where necessary, putting up persons to marshal traffic, for example, stopping traffic where there may be, heavy debris or equipment being moved. Things like that go a far way ensuring safety of everyone.
That's all the time we have for Query This today. Remember, if you have a legal dilemma or concern you would like us to query, send an email to aorit@cvmtv.com. For Query This, I'm Akeem Oret.
And Michael Paul now joins us for social media.
So, what's the hot topic online today? You're going to want to hear this. Should a prime minister ever be off the clock? That's the questions many Jamaicans are asking after Dr. Andrew Holness was seen at the FIFA World Cup final. Now, while some say the trip was insensitive given the ongoing struggles following Hurricane Melissa, others are asking, is the prime minister not allowed to enjoy his personal time or spend his own money? In fact, during a recent press conference, the Prime Minister clarified that the trip was paid for with his personal funds, not taxpayers' money. Yet the backlash continues. So, is the criticism justified, or are expectations of our leaders becoming unrealistic? Let's take a look at what the internet is saying. At Good Churgi comments, embarrassing you had to explain this because of the social media backlash. Imagine we nearly had a Category 6 hurricane and the Prime Minister has been working non-stop to get us back on track and the man cannot take a vacation? Come on, folks. At On My Way says, just know we don't believe nothing you tell we, boss. At AJ says, what about the victims of Hurricane Melissa? At Minty says, if FIFA invited you as a guest, it would be in the capacity of the Prime Minister of Jamaica and not Andrew Holness, the private citizen. Why then would you pay out of your private funds? Wouldn't FIFA foot that bill? At Unfriendly says, lie, and 2024 they couldn't afford to put proper lighting in the stadium for the qualifying match with Jamaica versus Dominican Republic. That's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and CVM_television on Instagram and Facebook. I'm Michael Paul.
We now turn to regional and international news with Carla Ramdeen.
We begin with news in the region. Days after a deadly marine collision on the coast of St. Lucia claimed 4 lives, grieving families are searching for answers as the family and friends of the victims struggle to come to terms with an unimaginable loss. DBS TV has the details.
On Wednesday, the 2 missing men's bodies were discovered. The family and friends of Marlon Williams and Tyrone Elivic, also known as Blinkers of Barron's Drive, says the loss has sent the entire community of Soufrière into mourning. Elivic's family says the last time they spoke to him was Saturday afternoon, when he indicated that he was going to one of the carnival fetes that night. As police continue investigating what caused the fatal collisions, crews are pushing forward with search operations to bring closure to grieving families.
Moving to France, where about 12,000 people have been evacuated from the southwest region of the country. Authorities are also moving 8,800 more as wildfires spread. More from